Maria Elena Lina Garza had always believed that hard work was the only currency that mattered. For 38 years, she had risen before dawn in her modest two-bedroom house in Oak Cliff, Dallas, slipping into the starched uniform of a housekeeper and driving her old Ford Taurus north across the city to the manicured streets of Highland Park. There, in homes that looked like they belonged in magazines, she dusted crystal chandeliers, polished marble countertops, and scrubbed bathrooms so spotless you could eat off the tiles. She never complained. She never asked for raises she knew she wouldn't get. Every paycheck went straight into savings for one thing: her son, Javier. Javier was her only child, born when Lina was 23 and her husband Raul was still alive, before the construction accident that took him when Javi was 4. Lina raised him alone, teaching him manners in 2 languages, making sure he did his homework before he touched the TV, and telling him stories about his father's work ethic so he'd understand why she came home with aching knees and calloused hands. "Mijo," she'd say, kissing his forehead at night, "education is the door God left open when he closed others." Javier listened. He was a good boy, quiet, respectful, always helping her carry groceries or fold laundry. He got straight A's at Adamson High School, won a partial scholarship to SMU, and majored in business administration at the Cox School. Lina worked extra shifts, cleaned vacation homes on weekends, even took on private clients who paid cash under the table. By the time Javier graduated, he had no student debt, a shiny new suit Lina had bought on layaway, and an entry-level job at a downtown real estate investment firm. He started at $65,000 a year, more than Lina had ever made in a single year. At first, everything felt like a dream coming true. Javier came home every Sunday for carne guisada, brought her flowers from the Central Market, called her mama in that soft voice that still sounded like the little boy who used to cling to her leg. Then he met Victoria Langley. Victoria was the only daughter of Preston and Evelyn Langley, old Highland Park money, oil money from 3 generations back, now diversified into commercial real estate, private equity, and a family foundation that funded half the charity galas in Dallas. The Langleys lived in a Georgian revival mansion on Beverly Drive, the kind with a circular driveway, black iron gates, and a pool house bigger than Lina's entire home. Victoria was beautiful in that effortless way rich girls are, blonde highlights, Pilates toned, always in white linen or pastel cashmere. She worked in interior design, which mostly meant consulting for her father's developments, and posted curated Instagram stories from Paris Fashion Week. Javier met her at a Cox School alumni mixer. Within 6 months, they were engaged. Lina was invited to the Langley house for the first family dinner. She wore her best navy dress, the one she'd sewn herself with hidden pockets for tissues, and carried a tres leches cake she'd baked from scratch. Evelyn Langley greeted her at the door with air kisses that didn't touch skin. "Maria Elena, how lovely to meet you. Javier speaks so highly of you." The way she said Maria Elena made it sound like a title for hired help. Preston shook her hand firmly but quickly, then retreated to his study with a tumbler of scotch. Victoria hugged Javier possessively and called Lina Mrs. Garza the entire evening. Dinner was served by a silent housekeeper who looked about Lina's age. Evelyn talked about the upcoming Highland Park Village holiday lights, the family's trip to Aspen, and how Victoria's little design business was taking off. No one asked Lina about her work. When she mentioned she'd cleaned homes in the neighborhood for decades, Evelyn smiled thinly and changed the subject to the wedding venue. "Brook Hollow Golf Club, of course. It's where we've always held our events," she said. "Tradition matters." Lina nodded, smiled, and ate her salmon without tasting it. On the drive home, Javier was quiet. "They liked you, Mama," he said finally. Lina stared out at the dark streets. "They were polite, mijo. That's different." The months before the wedding were a slow erosion. Javier's Sunday visits became every other week, then monthly. Always an excuse. Victoria's parents invited them to the club for brunch, or they were looking at condos in Uptown, or Victoria needed him for a charity auction. Lina understood. She told herself it was normal. Sons grew up, got married, built new lives. But every time he canceled, something inside her cracked a little more. She was included in one thing, helping choose the wedding dress. Victoria insisted. "You know fabrics, Mrs. Garza. Come with us to Neiman's." Lina arrived early, wearing her best blouse. Victoria showed up late with Evelyn and 3 friends who giggled behind their phones. Lina sat on a velvet chair while Victoria tried on gowns that cost more than Lina's annual rent. When Victoria emerged in a strapless mermaid dress, Lina spoke honestly. "It's beautiful, but the cut might not flatter your shoulders. Something with cap sleeves would be more elegant." Silence. Then Victoria laughed, a light, tinkling sound. "Oh, Mrs. Garza, trends have moved on. This is what's in." Evelyn placed a hand on her daughter's arm. "You look perfect, darling. We're taking it." No one asked Lena's opinion again. When they left for lunch at the club, Evelyn said kindly, "You must be exhausted, Maria Elena. We'll handle the details." Lena took the bus home. She cried quietly on the ride, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand so no one would notice. The wedding day arrived in late spring. Perfect Texas weather, blue skies, no humidity. The ceremony was at Highland Park Presbyterian Church, all white roses and string quartet. Lena sat in the 5th row on the groom's side, alone except for a distant cousin who came for the free meal. Javier looked handsome in his tuxedo, nervous but happy. Victoria was radiant. Evelyn, in champagne silk, sat in the front row like royalty. At the reception, Brook Hollow Golf Club was transformed. White tents on the lawn, crystal chandeliers in the ballroom, centerpieces of orchids and cacti, a 5-course meal starting with chilled watermelon gazebo and ending with Trace Leach's wedding cake, Lena's recipe, but catered. Lena's table was in the back corner, near the kitchen doors. She wore a simple teal dress she'd altered herself, pearl earrings from her mother. Dinner was served. The main course, slow smoked beef brisket with au jus, jalapeno cornbread dressing, creamy coleslaw, and potato salad. Lena ate slowly, watching Javier and Victoria at the head table. Evelyn presided like a queen, directing waiters with subtle gestures. The toasts began. Preston spoke of legacy and family. Victoria's maid of honor gushed about the perfect couple. Then it was Javier's turn to dance with his mother. Lena walked to the floor, heart pounding. Javier took her hand. The band played a slow waltz. For a moment, it felt like old times. "You look beautiful, Mama," he said. "Thank you, mijo." A pause. "Are you happy?" she asked. "Of course. Victoria's amazing." "And Evelyn? She's amazing too?" Javier tensed. "Mama, don't." "I know what's happening, Javier. I see how they look at me, how you let them." He stopped dancing. "This isn't the time." "When is the time? After the honeymoon? After they convince you I'm holding you back?" Guests started whispering. Victoria approached, concerned. Evelyn materialized like smoke. "Maria Elena," Evelyn said smoothly. "Perhaps you should sit down. You seem upset." Lena met her eyes. "I'm fine." Evelyn's smile tightened. She turned to a nearby waiter, took a large silver tureen of brisket au jus, still steaming, and in one fluid motion, tipped it over Lena's head. The hot liquid poured down her face, soaking her dress, burning her skin. Jalapeno cornbread dressing clung to her hair. The ballroom gasped. Evelyn stepped back, voice calm and loud enough for everyone. "Some people belong in the service entrance, not the ballroom." The room froze. Javier crossed his arms, looked at the floor, and said quietly, "She's right about appearances, Mama." Lena stood dripping, the heat searing her cheeks. No tears, no scream. She took a napkin from a table, wiped her face with steady hands, and walked toward the exit, back straight, heels clicking on the marble. Before she reached the doors, she pulled out her phone and dialed one number she'd saved years ago. It rang twice. "Miss Langley? It's Lena Garza." A pause. Then a frail but strong voice. "Lena, my dear, what's wrong?" Lena spoke softly. "It's time." She hung up, stepped into the night, and drove home in her ruined dress. The woman on the phone was Mrs. Abigail Wentworth, 89, childless, widowed, one of the last true oil heiresses from the old days. Lena had cleaned her Turtle Creek condo for 11 years during Mrs. Wentworth's battle with breast cancer. No one knew. Lena never told Javier. She'd sat with Mrs. Wentworth through chemo, held her hand during radiation, listened to stories about lost loves and regretted choices. When Mrs. Wentworth asked why Lena never complained, Lena said, "Because some people need quiet help, not loud things." That night, Mrs. Wentworth's lawyer called the Langleys at 11 p.m. The trust was frozen. The foundation lost its biggest donor. By morning, Dallas Society pages buzzed. Langley scandal at Brook Hollow, trust revoked after wedding incident. Preston Steele stalled. Evelyn's charity invitations dried up. Victoria's design business lost clients overnight. Javier's firm quietly let him go, too much negative press. Lena didn't quote. She used the money to open Manos Abiertas, a free vocational school in Oak Cliff for housekeepers' children. Sewing, culinary arts, bookkeeping, English classes. She taught the first sewing class herself. 2 years later, Javier showed up at the school on a rainy Tuesday. Thin, unshaven, eyes hollow. "Mama," he said, "I need to talk." Lena handed him a cup of coffee. "Sit." He told her everything. The condo file closure, Victoria's family blaming him. His job at a warehouse now. "I was wrong," he whispered. "I let them make me forget who raised me." Lena listened. Then she said, "You hurt me, mijo, deep, but you're still my son. Can I come back?" "No, not yet. You need to build yourself first, like I did." He nodded, tears falling. "I'm sorry." "I know, now prove it." He left. Lena watched him walk into the rain. She returned to her classroom, picked up the needle, and kept teaching. Because some lessons aren't taught with words. They're taught with time, consequences, and the quiet strength of a mother who finally chose herself.